Here are a few of my favorite resources, followed by the podcast. Looking for a fun kids' fitness book about persevering, teamwork, and positive mindset? Check out my book, Becoming the Best Me, available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Looking for a book on science, stats, and a library of movements to help with physical literacy and learning and teaching movements and how to apply those to kids? As a parent or a coach or teacher, check out my book, The Movement Toolkit 1 and 2, also available on Amazon and Kindle. Are you looking for a no-nonsense, authentic community committed to providing real people with the tools they need to take control of their fitness? Check out Street Parking and Street Parking Kids' online fitness community and program. Are you looking to become a better coach and help grow your CrossFit Affiliates program? CrossFit Kids Certification Course is a live and interactive webinar that provides a safe, effective, and age-appropriate methods for teaching CrossFit to children and adolescents. Affiliate owners, teachers, coaches, and parents all benefit from learning this unique, kid-friendly approach to teaching CrossFit. If you're looking for a great material as an OT, an OTA, educator, or maybe even a parent, check out theottoolbox.com. Their mission is to provide you with tools, inspiration, and the community you need to encourage the healthy development of kids. They have lots of fun, creative handouts for many age levels to encourage and foster child development and success. Hello, and welcome to Dr. Bree Davis, the podcast, hosted by me, Dr. Bree. But to pretty much everyone other than a few of my patients, I just go by Bree. Yeah, I don't know where to start.
I'm just going to go off and ask you questions and
Yeah.
let's just have a combo. Because I messaged you, like I wanted to lean into our community a little bit more. We at Primal Mobility, we were working quite a bit on early on in the business. We had a thriving community. It was something that was really powerful. And then it was all because we had all of our communication through our Facebook group. So everything was bumping in that group.
Yeah.
I wanted to find a way to provide more value and make sure that others that weren't so comfortable in the Facebook group got value through the coaching process. I transferred all communication into the app directly, and that kind of killed our community as a result. And I didn't like that. So after about a year and a half, I wanted to find a way to build our community back up. And I know that consistency is a huge thing around that, of course.
Yeah.
Which is one of the challenges around the community, is like remaining consistent and finding a way to just get people engaging and having fun in there. But that's when I was like, I need to learn from the best. And the way I see it, honestly, nobody does it better in the fitness industry than Street Parking. They have the best community that I've ever seen. And just like a solid family of clients that are just raving fans, people that love Street Parking and everything they do. And I'm like, what are they doing? And really, obviously, there's a lot behind that. And a lot of it comes down to the people who are at the top.
Yeah.
But so that's when I reached out to you and was like, I love what you guys are doing. Tell me more. And
yeah,
it just got me curious about everything.
Yeah. So I'm coming up on pretty soon. It'll be almost a year that I've been with Street Parking officially. My role is specifically to develop their kids program. And this last Friday, we launched our first kids vault free on YouTube with the adult vaults that are starting. And we have tons of other programming and just ideas and awesome things ready, but we're trying to figure out how to roll it out just because of the app and all of that kind of logistical end. But before I joined Street Parking, it was like around COVID, we left the CrossFit gyms and obviously we had to come up with our own programming, and some of my friends were a part of Street Parking. So that's how I got connected to them. And so for the years, I guess from COVID to about last year, I was like always creeping in the group, like watching what people do, inspired by people, but not participating. So from that perspective, it was really cool to see like how many members are active and it could be like me, active and engaging in as far as learning stuff, but not making posts. But yeah, from just seeing the community there and some of the side groups too, and just people's passion for moving their bodies and fitness and loving the program and the customizations, and basically knowing no matter who you are, there's a place for you there, whether you're a beginner or you're an elite athlete, or you want to go smack talk people and have competitions, or maybe you want to have the handstand scooter battle people that are on there, or just talk about, hey, where do you get your new gear? What else do you do? bringing that community together to not just like obsess and talk about fitness, but holistically of stuff they do with families or their favorite books or other random tips and things. So I was blown away by like the amount of people that do participate and how close a lot of those people have gotten just through a fitness program. I think like a huge part too is Miranda and Julian's presence, and then the whole team of everyone's obviously great, like the media team and some of their social media team. It just, the stuff they come up with is funny and engaging, and I think it makes it feel like you're at a gym. You have a community even though you're not there, which I think is so important, especially for people who can't make it to a gym or don't have the money to, or maybe they're not in a great location, or people who want to start families where like a lot of these moms and stuff. And then like me thinking about, we want to start a family, and I have loved going to the CrossFit gyms and being a part of the community, but there's times where we might not be able to. So it's cool to be able to see that they have that without even leaving your house.
Something that stood out to me was that it truly does feel like it's a gym community outside of a gym. It's unique. It's something that I haven't experienced before, which is super cool. And to go off what you were saying, where people are talking about everything and connecting off of various different things outside of fitness, even. I saw a post in the community where one of the members was asking, like mentioning that they're going to travel somewhere, and asked if anyone had a place to stay. And there was people offering. And I was like, what is happening? It feels like a family. It's incredible. And
Yeah.
people from the outside would be like, this is a cult. This is definitely a cult. But it's powerful when you can have something with so much depth like that with people who
Yeah.
have never physically met each other before. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think obviously it comes from the top. I think that because us as members and then now being on staff, because we can trust our leaders and we can trust our team, I feel like that just opens it up to, if other people trust them, it does feel we all have something in common and like we are one big family. We all want each other to do better. And yeah, so that it's mind blowing. Like we went outside of some of the other stuff they do, like they do a JVM challenge where, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they split people basically up into teams online, and there's different competitions where people can win each year, but they break it down by week, whether it's competitions they're running or fun drops or other things in the community that keeps people involved. But this year was my first year going to Fitness Freedom, and it was at the CrossFit Ranch at Dave's Ranch. And so that was the first time I really saw people from everywhere go and meet. A lot of people had met online, but meet each other in person for the first time. And they were like bringing their families, and people were like sharing hotel rooms together, and their kids were playing together. And some people went alone by themselves to this big event, California, and they felt comfortable because of the community and the team. Which to me, I'm not saying I wouldn't do something like that, because I probably would, but it's scary. And you really have to trust what's going on and enjoy it to do something like that. And it was just so cool to see how close everyone got there and just how supportive everyone was. It just feels like it's so much deeper level than just this face value. Everyone's posting their workout scores stuff. And obviously it's taken time to get there, but yeah, it's mind blowing. It's unreal, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I actually, around the time that I was really diving into it, I actually watched a YouTube video of Miranda at some kind of seminar. She was talking about the community and the nuances to the community and how they've developed it over time, and how when they first started, it was just posting their workouts and posting about them going through the process and, dying through the workouts and whatever. And then people started following along and people started joining in. That's when they started realizing that there was something there. It was really interesting to see that where the community ultimately started from, and how she realized what was really valuable in building a community.
Yeah.
She's brilliant when it comes to that stuff. Like, she's really a genius when it comes to it. And it all comes down to like, it's so simple too, right? The concepts she was talking about are just so almost thoughtless. Yeah, of course that works, but it's okay if that's what works. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's a lot of things in fitness too. It's like people are looking on Instagram to find the fancy shit that just seems to solve the problem in a week. But it's like anything like strength, true strength takes decades to create. It takes years to fortify, right? Like, it's a
Yeah.
long period process. And I think like building a trustworthy brand, building a strong community, these are like the same thing. It's a long game perspective. And that's what's hard. Social media makes that hard too, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
ready for the quick fix for everything.
Yeah, she just released this email series called More Than Nothing, where she's getting really more raw, and they're always been really honest and open, but a little bit more too, about life things. But I think as a member, the thing that I saw in and then the thing that the staff keeps talking about is it's not necessarily pretty. It's not easy, like the simple not easy that they use. A lot of times it's hard. A lot of times like consistency is key. Like all these keywords they have, it all shows how real and authentic it is, but it's also not easy and simple. So I feel like sometimes social media is always this beautiful, perfect situation of what you said, the easy fix or the tip and trick or this beautiful fitness model in their gym doing a thing, and they offer all these perspective and all these lifestyles and people of different sizes and experiences and skill levels and goals that I think it just opens up a door for one, everyone, but also it's real. So it's easy to feel connection with people when you know it's hard versus some of those like fitness influencers and you're like, this is really hard. It's really cold outside. I don't want to do it. Or my kids are screaming in my face, running all over the gym, or I'm postpartum, or I'm whatever. It's just, yeah, I think it just comes down to it being real, which is sad to be like, it's that simple, but there's not a lot of that out there.
Another thing that kind of pushes me away from social media, like I've tried to lean towards what's a little bit more readily accepted in the industry, and it felt so fake and phony and just not who I was that I ditched that process, and it costed us quite a bit to do that. And it's for my sanity. Trying to show up and being the perfect influencer was so far out of who I wanted to be and how I wanted to approach the business that I was like, I'm scrapping this within a few weeks.
Yeah.
You're so right though. That's what social media is. It's almost made to show people the absolute perfect side of things and just completely neglect what reality truly is, which is messy.
Yeah.
And that's like, why?
Yeah, which
Why is it like,
I feel like that's people in general. Even I'm guilty of that. If I want to get something, do I want to get it fast or do I want to work really hard for it? Obviously, I want to get
of
it
course,
fast. But I feel like,
right,
yeah, like
just
I feel like
comfort?
even if you guys lost some members or whatever in the beginning for street parking, that's probably how they got the biggest explosion because they stuck true to their message and then they got all these ride or die members that are like, oh, this is the real shit. This is real life, which, yeah.
As I said, life is messy. But I think that's, if you look at psychology, playing on the perfection side of things and being perceived as something that everybody wants to be. Everybody wants the perfect life. Nobody wants to have a super messy life, right? So if you're showing whatever you're trying to sell is very perfect and clean and whatever else, that's playing off of people's insecurities. Oh, I could have that perfect situation. That's not going to happen. It's just not true. There's always obstacles. There's always things that come in the way. And so that's where my head goes is that just feels far more real to appropriate.
Yeah.
And I don't want, who wants to show, I don't know. If I'm looking on social media and somebody's just showing up as a flawless person all the time, I feel like there must be something hidden in the background. Like, what is it that you're not showing people up front? And it's such a weird thought. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Weird.
Like I can't think of the exact saying I'm thinking of, but that sometimes people like to suffer together instead of suffer alone. Not necessarily that all we do is suffering, because that's perspective. We're grateful to move and grateful to move our bodies and have opportunities. But when you can celebrate the highs together and celebrate the lows, it's a bond. That's your in family and stuff too. And like your inner circle, that's the greatest people that support you is through the highs and lows. So if you can create a community that does that, and a company that portrays that, then it's just more authentic. And yeah, like you were saying, everyone knows there's nothing perfect. So eventually people lead away from that. But then with the psychology end of people want that sense of, in occupational therapy, call it a sense of being, belonging, and becoming. If you can be who you are in the moment, but then be pushed by others around you to figure out who are you becoming while still belonging to something, it is past, future, present, and it's foolproof because it's people who are going to be there through the journey and not just the stage.
Yeah, people there's some influencers out there. People are willing to do whatever it takes to show that perfect side of themselves, right? There's some influencers out there that I've seen on social media that I followed for a while because I was so curious about why they were talking about this. But things like saying broccoli is unhealthy and dangerous for your health, that's such a weird perspective to me. And anyways, there's whatever angle you can imagine that somebody's selling something, there's definitely something out there. Social media just is a strange place to me, and I find that it's a curious thought to try to learn how to use it in a way that I'm trying to use it in, which is connecting with people. I want to have conversations because I enjoy doing that. I'm learning more, or I can't really put words onto why I truly enjoy doing that, but I want my people that are consuming my content to reach out and ask me questions and let me dive deeper into thoughts with them. That's what excites me. Anyways, I had another thought that I wanted to ask you a question on because you
Yeah.
had mentioned that street parking launched a kids vault. Is that it?
The first official Kids Vault will be free on YouTube, and it's the 25 weeks. So weekly we're releasing. So just like the adult version for 25 weeks that's released to members, but we had a big push for giving it to affiliates for free and then kids for free on YouTube. And then it'll be on our social medias and stuff too. And then eventually it will be on the app for kids. So
Very cool. So I've been working out more and more with my 6-year-old son. He comes down into the gym and he's a little beast. He loves just doing whatever. And I told him that for January, I'm doing 100 push-ups a day, 20 pull-ups a day, and 10 handstand push-ups, just because I felt like this is something I felt like doing. And he's like, cool, let's go to the gym. I'm ready. And I'm like, what? So
yeah,
this is his third day today where he's done 100 push-ups with me and he's done 20 pull-ups, and he doesn't do handstand push-ups. He's not there yet, but he's
yeah,
doing these with 5-pound dumbbells or something.
yeah.
And I'm always curious about, and I know you wrote a book, which is something that I plan to purchase for sure. I'm always looking for new angles to introduce my kids to fitness and have fun through the process, because that was something that I initially struggled with. Was like, they see us going down to the gym relatively frequently, and I don't want to be the dad that's do this, do that, whatever. I want them to have fun through the process, and it freaks me out to think that if they are in the scene too much early on, or if I'm not approaching it correctly for them, that it could create some kind of an unhealthy perspective around it. And that's the last thing I want for them, right? I want them to appreciate movement and respect their body and do it because they love their bodies, and they love themselves. And so I would have so many questions for you as to where did you start with CrossFit Kids? Like, how did you even start in this process of educating and leaning into fitness for children? Like, where did that all begin?
Yeah. So a long story, but I'll try to shorten it. I was going to college and I wanted to be an athletic trainer. I'd been in sports my whole life and wanted to work with athletes. And then through that process, I found occupational therapy, which kind of is like athletic training, but working with more ages, more demands, and stuff like that. During that process of getting hours in volunteering to get into doctorate school, I was volunteering for a coaching position in Portland for a kids wheelchair basketball team. And it was a littles, like a preschool age or like a before elementary school age. And then we had elementary and high school age. And I knew a lot about basketball. I knew nothing about wheelchair basketball and nothing about disabilities. And the kids on that team, and then the head coach, she was a recreational therapist named Laura. I learned so much, not just about adaptive sports, but working with kids and their mental health and how do you encourage them versus adults. If we're motivated to go to the gym, it's because we want to work hard, and usually it's for whatever reasons. Where for kids, some of them want to work hard, but they're not going to go kill themselves in a workout. That's not fun. Where adults, like sometimes we do that. Seeing that perspective with the kids and figuring out for that end of how can we get them more fit. There was no adaptive CrossFit, adaptive anything that was really big. And so they weren't really getting a lot of fitness and strength or accessibility to anywhere of coaches who had any idea of how to work with them. But they wanted to get stronger. Like they want to play basketball. Some of them wanted to go to the Olympic team and try out for their college wheelchair basketball teams and stuff. And so I went to my L1. At my L1, I met this lady who was standing there at CrossFit X Factor by herself. And we joke now, she had RBF face. I'm like, oh, I'll go talk to her. She's alone. So I was like, hey, are you here taking the course? And she's like, no, I'm actually the owner of the gym. I was like, oh, hi, my name's Bree, and she was on CrossFit Kids staff. Her name was Megan McDonald, and her husband, Chris, was teaching the course there. And so I told her about my wheelchair basketball stuff and my interest in sports and kids, and she was like, hey, and I think it was like a week. In a week, if you want to pay to go to the CrossFit Kids course in Poulsbo, Washington, make your way up there and take the course, you can come coach some classes that were at their gym. And so I did it. And I remember going to the course and she was so shocked that I actually did it. Because at this time I was, oh gosh, maybe like 21. So I was still in college, just volunteering, doing what I could. And so, yeah, I started coaching there. And then she introduced me to Todd Widman and we had a good conversation. From there, I did my internship and got into that. And then just getting into occupational therapy and then now being in pediatrics too, in that end, just seeing the need of children to move. And then post pandemic and all of that kind of just fueled the last few years for me. It's like I grew up moving and on a farm and not like with my face stuck in technology, and the generation of kids right now, it's hard because that's what's around. Anyways, that's a long story version, but yeah, I just want kids to be able to be healthy, and especially with their healthcare system, I want parents to feel empowered and confident to teach their kids. I want it to be fun, so that way we're creating humans that aren't having to learn as adults how to become healthy or move their bodies.
So what's your philosophy on fitness for kids? Is it really just around fun?
Yeah, so that's taken from CrossFit, from occupational therapy, psychology. But then I wrote my thesis, I wrote part of my views in that too. But my three kind of pillars, which I've carried over to out of my book to street parking, is it has to be fun, simple, and successful. And so the reason it has to be fun is because kids want to do what's fun, and if it's fun they'll keep doing it. And that's complex, it is what it is though, because if there's a preschool kid, what's fun to them? It might be doing Spider-Man air squats and then running across the gym and swinging, and seeing maybe in the gym seeing their parent work out. And then maybe as they're like 5 to 12 age, they start wanting to learn those movements, or I want to squat like mom and dad because I'm seeing them. Or maybe it's not their parents, maybe it's a coach or another adult influencer. So now they want to move their bodies. And so if you can make movement fun and then they continue to those teen and preteen years, then a lot of times that's when the motivation changes to I'm going to grind, I'm going to do hard things, whether it's for aesthetics or performance and barbell work. Something I posted too on the Instagram that CrossFit talks about, and then that I put in the street parking Instagram, is end it before it's done. And it's if you can get a kid to have fun and then stop, they're going to be so sad when it's over that they're going to want to do it again tomorrow, instead of the philosophy of you got to work harder, you got to get one more rep, I'm going to teach you how to work hard and teach you how to persevere and teach you how to, be this machine. If we approach it at that often leads to burnout, and this isn't fun anymore, especially kids. It's not fun. But if you can positively manipulate situations where there's buy-in and it's fun for them, and we do this in occupational therapy too, is if you have a kid that's working out and maybe you're doing an AMRAP together and it's 5 minutes and you're like, wow, there's maybe in a CrossFit Kids class at 3 minutes in, these kids are not having fun. They're moving really slow. And then you just say, hey, we're going to work hard for 30 more seconds, build the hype, and it's done. And then you play a game and have fun. You're not killing the experience for them and them dreading to do it, which I think goes a lot into the growth mindset talk and what we put on our own kids, which is scary because we have that influence. But the other biggest thing I can talk about is simple. So customizing it so they can do it, so they're being successful and not failing all the time. But just to talk about the effort versus performance in a workout, maybe your kid is doing the 100 push-ups with you, and instead of, wow, you got to 50 reps today, you're like, oh my gosh, I saw how hard you were working. You were breathing really hard. Your face was red. I could tell you were putting a lot into effort. That was amazing. So now you're pointing out his effort versus what he did, like his result, which then teaches hard work. Wow, dad really wants me to work hard. And dad really loved that my chest was touching the ground, so I was moving well. Versus, oh, I got 50 reps and dad's super proud, which then often a lot of times too leads to lack of quality of movement, because now it's for speed and it's for reps and for it's a time and score and stuff like that. But rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's all powerful insight too, though, because there's definitely some times where I've caught myself like, no, you committed to X, Y, and Z. We're going to finish it. And I don't want to anymore. You committed to it. Let's do it. I think there's place for that for sure in a lot of things. But at the same time, with something that's potentially as fragile as like the enjoyment of something as important as health and fitness, I don't want that to have a negative impact in any way. So everything you just said there was like a huge insight and really good perspective to look at things where it's, and I try my best to make sure that I'm really pushing on showing appreciation for the effort behind something as opposed to the result.
Yeah.
And there's times now where I'll hear him say, the other day we were at the cottage and him and his sister were sharing a room. And then his sister's 4, so she's just learning how to be a conscious human.
Yeah.
And she's chirping, making fun of him. She's like, "You're not good at something," or like, "You suck," or whatever. And then he's like, "I don't care if I'm not good. I work hard, and that's all that matters."
From the fitness end, it's a little bit hard for me too sometimes. So fitness movement end, I'm like, make it fun. If it's not fun, you're not doing it. Occupational therapy end, we work with a lot of kids where we're seeing them for a reason because of challenges. So they don't work harder, they're afraid of things, or they have these things that are impeding their daily life and participation. So if I were to look at it from an occupational therapist perspective, I do want to push kids hard to know that they can do it and realize that they're confident and did. So sometimes too, what you could say is if your son is he committed to something and then realized, wow, that was like too big of a commitment, is sometimes I'll spin it and be like, hey, yeah, oh my gosh, 50 more push-ups seems too long, but do you want to do as many push-ups as you can in a minute, or should we see if you can do the 10 best push-ups you can? Instead of failing at the original goal, which some kids are like, I'll do 1,000, and you're like, that's not possible. So sometimes their goals aren't realistic, but by them having these big, lofty goals and the idea of participating in excitement is then you scale it down to what we call in occupational therapy is the just right challenge. How can I give them the just right challenge to push them and make it hard, but that they're still successful in learning and it's not crushing their confidence? So that's like another spin from OT that we take, but it also depends on the kid and their vulnerability and stuff. For some kids, if they're new to it, I'm like, I'm not going to push you at all because I don't want to scare you away.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's like taking the initial big goal and turning into like smaller, more tangible stretch goals, something that they know will still be a little bit of a challenge, but it's much smaller and tangible that they can see right up front. Again, 10 best push-ups, and then we can see how you feel after that and call it if you need to, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then he's successful and then building rapport with you. Oh man, dad wasn't like you're giving up or shaming him or anything, but dad was really trying to push me to work hard. So it's just that relationship too that's so important, which in anything, right? Like with some of the stuff we've seen with burnout and kids in fitness and some of those higher fitness levels too, it makes me think about what was their relationship with their coaches and other people. And that really it shapes future lives. It shapes humans, which is absolutely amazing. We have that power to do that, but also really terrifying.
A big fear as well is that I don't want them to feel that I don't approve or something like that. You know what I mean? I have an ideal situation in my mind that I want to push and help him grow into, but I don't want him to think that I don't approve of the situation if he can't achieve it or falls short mentally where he's, you know what, I'm over it. I guess that's a good way of looking at it if you don't achieve it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Parenting,
good. It's like street parking. It's the more than nothing mindset. And OT, that's our just right challenge mindset is
parenting's terrifying and it's hard in so many different ways. And there's a lot of growth that comes from it too. And when you approach a situation with the kid, it forces you to internalize it and see like how are they going to perceive this, and then it forces you to restructure your approach, and then it forces you to understand it more appropriately, and then you learn and grow. How is this 6-year-old kid teaching me more about life than anything else beforehand? It's just such an insane process.
yeah, it's amazing. I see multiple pediatric patients weekly. I see some adults now too, but like going into OT, I was like, my goal is to, and coaching, like my goal is to help influence them and give them better lives. And half the time I'm like, wow, I think they're making my life better because they're teaching me things. Their perspective is awesome.
I'll often post on Facebook or whatever about sometimes Ashton and I will go out for, he's my 6-year-old son, we'll go out for a run or whatever. Maybe it's 2 kilometers, maybe it's 5. He's literally ran 5 kilometers with me before. And when I come back, we like the conversations we've had is outrageous. And I'll post about it. I'm like, you guys will never believe the lesson I learned from this kid on this run. And it's
Yeah.
changed. There's so many things that force me to see life differently just from a simple conversation with a 6-year-old kid. He's a really logical, intelligent kid, and he knows how good he is at a lot of things.
I'm hoping that with street parking too, I posted this thing earlier. I was trying to make, which maybe it'll end up being a thing called like Live from the Garage. There's this Instagram on called Live from Snack Time on Instagram, and it's all these quotes that kids say, and it's absolutely so funny. But I was thinking it'd be fun eventually for the community or to say that around like fitness and stuff that they learn there, because like you said, it teaches us a lot and brings us all together because we realize we're not alone in child learning how to do stuff with them.
There's 2 things. I'm going to purchase your book, and I'm going to also check out the kids vault thing and maybe play around with some of that with Ashton.
Yeah, totally. And then it'll be adapting as we go. But if you need any customizations or ideas, we're going to be releasing more of that too, which I'm super stoked to see where it goes and have everyone see what we've been working on.
So I'll be in touch for sure if I have any questions, because
Yeah.
there's always ways that I'm looking to customize things for my fitness with my kids. So I'm sure every other parent that's interested in this type of stuff is in the same realm.
Yeah. Keep your questions coming and then maybe we'll chat about that too. And that'll help with stuff in the future. But cool. Thank you for chatting and we'll chat again soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Good chat.
See ya.